WhatsApp has backtracked on its controversial new terms and conditions for now, delaying the implementation. It planned on sharing users' data with its parent company, Facebook. Millions of people across the world moved to messaging app Telegram instead, but there are some safety and security concerns with that app as well. To tell us more, William Bird from Media Monitoring Africa joins me. William, always great to speak to you. So with the new WhatsApp privacy rules irking so many people and many of them migrating to other platforms, what are the security concerns around some of these other apps that people are now using?
Hi, good afternoon. Well, I think it's a good thing that people are generally concerned about their privacy and what happens with their data. So in as much as this might not be the best of starts for WhatsApp and Facebook, it certainly is a good thing to the extent that it's got people to start to think, well, hang on a minute, what is being done with my data? And for children in particular, for parents and caregivers to think, well, what's happening with whatever my child is doing online? So they're basically two of the other bigger alternatives is Telegram, which is a Russian-owned company, and then there's Signal, which is effectively a non-profit owned company. They both have advantages and disadvantages. Signal, obviously, it's not as widely used or adopted, and of course, one of the big reasons that makes WhatsApp so attractive is that just about everyone has it because it's so pervasive. You know, it means that you can easily send people WhatsApps and messages on and assume that they will pretty much have that app on their device. Signal, its biggest disadvantage perhaps is that it isn't as common across everywhere, and you have to make sure that the other person has it. It perhaps isn't quite as reliable, but what it does have is the same thing. It's got end-to-end encryption. In other words, if I send you a message, you're the only person that can unencrypt that particular message, and that's the same encryption format, in fact, that works on the WhatsApp platform. So that's certainly a very strong pull to it. Telegram has some other positives to it. One of the negatives, of course, is that it can be you can just be added to groups and that sort of thing if you aren't keen on that kind of thing, and you may be exposed to things that perhaps you don't want to be exposed to. So it's very important that you go into your settings on Telegram and amend that. But where it is good is that it doesn't by default show your number, which means that it makes it a lot harder for people to carry out different kinds of bullying because, of course, without your number, all people have is your name. So once you start to hide that or change that, it makes it a lot easier to retain your privacy and a greater level of protection. For all of them, I think the critical thing is to make sure that people switch off their location on those different platforms. Just because you really don't want to be sharing your location unless you've got a very good reason to be sharing your location.
Yeah. William, let's look specifically at Telegram and that concern for parents around the kind of material that their children could be unwittingly exposed to. We've seen a number of messages warning parents about this on social media recently. How does that all work, and what kind of things could children be exposed to?
Well, I mean, in effect, they can be exposed to hardcore pornography, which, of course, is certainly not something any of us want our young children to be exposed to. So I think that one of the key issues there is, as I said, is to make sure that you go into the device and set up particularly, whatever the most stringent privacy settings are in each of these things. You set them up, especially if you've got children using these platforms to communicate. A lot of them tend to use Discord, but Telegram means that they can be added by someone else to a group and then be exposed to that kind of material. And so it's not something that they'll necessarily go looking for it, which many of them might actually do anyway. But if it is there, then they may well be exposed to it. And again, obviously, the thing to be doing with these things is to report them and then to block whichever those groups are.
Absolutely. With the prevalence of grooming out there, no parent can be too careful. Thank you very much, William Bird from Media Monitoring Africa. Still